Hey, what's up guys, it's Disturbed, and today we're going to be talking about the gear set Predator's Mark. There's a lot of unanswered questions about this set when it comes to PvP and how effective it can be, along with if it is the best set or not for player versus environment and things like incursions and whatnot. So today I'm going to be trying to answer every single question that I can, so let's get right into it. Before I say anything, for those of you that just want like a real quick TLDR and a conclusion, and don't want to really see testing and all that other crap, this set's basically useless in PvP due to bleed resistance and exotic damage resilience, and in PvE, in incursions, it's decent in certain situations such as challenge mode incursion, but cannot compare to 3-set sentry and 3-set striker. So if you're not interested in seeing all the other stuff, you can just click off right now. Thanks for watching, but if you want to see the rest of it and why this is, just stay tuned. So first off, for the people that don't know, Predator's Mark is the new gear set that was added into the game with patch 1.2. The 2-set gives you 20% optimal range, the 3-set gives you 800 assault rifle damage and 700 pistol damage, and the 4-set, which is what makes this set good, reads hit 10 shots without switching targets to make the target bleed for 100% of damage already done by those bullets. So basically how this works is that you shoot an enemy like 10 times, and it will apply a bleed to that enemy that does an average of the damage you did with those 10 bullets over a span of 10 seconds. By the way, I'm not really going to be going over the 2-set or the 3-set because they're pretty self-explanatory, and the focus of this set is on the 4-piece bonus. So, with that out of the way, in terms of PvP, you might say, okay, that sounds pretty good. I can land a few shots on somebody, I could run away, and still have some damage, some pretty significant damage being done to them. Well, I really wish it was just that simple, but it really isn't. First off, you had to take into account exotic damage resilience, which basically mitigates all special damage such as fire, bleeds, shocks, etc., just the same way as armor does, and makes you take less damage of that. The reason this is a big problem is because it's pretty easy to get on gear, on top of the fact that a new gear set added to the game called Final Measure gives you 50% exotic damage resilience just for the 2-set. And you can bet your ass most of the PvP players will be using this 2-set because it's really easy to get it, and 50% exotic damage resilience is really helpful for things like incendiary bullets and whatnot. So that basically reduces your damage of your bleed by over 50%, just cuts it right in half. And that's not even taking into account that you could get more as major attributes and stack it up to easily up to like 70, 80, even 90% if you wanted to. It would be kind of stupid to do that, but in theory you could do that. Another thing you have to take into account is bleed resistance. You can get bleed resistance on gear as a minor attribute on knee pads, masks, and backpacks. Most you can get on one piece is 30%, and you can stack it up only to 69% as a max because you can get on the backpack and stuff, it's not as much as it is on the knee pad, so you can only get it up to 69%, that's the max. And basically what bleed resistance does is it increases your chance of resisting the bleed. So let's say that somebody with Predator's Mark shot at me, and I have the max bleed resistance, I have a 70% chance of the bleed not even applying to me, not even getting a bleed, so I'm not even taking any damage from that 4-set. So having the bleed not even affect you the majority of the time makes the gear set useless the majority of the time, and it's pretty easy to get bleed resistance on your gear because it is a minor attribute and you only need to get it on 3 pieces. And to make that even worse, if you use first aid with overdose on it, it will get rid of the bleed instantly, again making it useless. Also, using survivor link will get rid of any bleed and also make you immune to bleed. So basically in PvP there's just way too many counters for it to be actually viable, and it's really just not worth using when you couldn't just use Striker's battle gear or something else. Moving on to how effective this set is in things like incursions, etc. So for this to be effective at all, your enemy would have to last and be alive for over 12 seconds. The reason for this is because it takes 10 seconds for the bleed to actually do its full damage. So if you utilize it to its full potential, you'd basically be shooting one guy 10 times to get the bleed and then moving on to the next guy to maximize your damage output. And that's kind of a pain in the ass way to play, but that's how you would maximize your damage. But truthfully, if you have 3-set striker and 3-set sentry, you can melt enemies way faster and kill them within 10 seconds, and if you can't get it to where all the 10 bleed hits are hitting, then it's simply just not worth it. And if you're shooting at somebody 10 times, they're most likely going to die even with Predator's Mark if you're not killing like level 34 enemies. So it's really only helpful in things like challenge incursion, but still using 3-set striker and 3-set sentry does more damage. Another thing is that most people nowadays run with like an SMG and an M1A, including myself, and I guarantee you if you manage to shoot an enemy 10 times with an M1A, he is most likely dead. Unless you have like 1K firearms or something and just a really shitty M1A, but 90% of the time that enemy is going to be dead. if you shot him that many times with an M1A. So with an M1A, the 4-set bonus is complete garbage, and since M1As are so powerful, you don't want to miss out on potential extra damage with your best weapon. So why sacrifice the huge benefits of Sentry Striker for something that would only be effective with, you know, fully auto weapons and not your secondary weapon? It's just not practical. Another thing is that 3-set Sentry and 3-set Striker is probably just flat out better in terms of damage. I'd have to do the math on this for this to be 100% sure, but due to my other 2 points, I don't think it's necessary to do the math because it would take me a while, and I've already deemed this set as mostly useless. But just read these bonuses and try to tell me that this isn't better than Predator's Mark. You know, you get 30% headshot damage, 20% damage to elites, 20% enemy armor damage, and 50% critical hit damage. That is just so much extra flat out damage, and it doesn't rely on anything other than you just simply shooting at the target. But with Predator's Mark, you have to rely on your bleed to do a lot of your damage, which again just isn't practical for multiple reasons. So in conclusion, this set can't even hold a candle to Sentry and Striker in both PvE and PvP, which is pretty depressing. You know, when I first saw the damage output on this target dummy, I was pretty excited, but then I thought about the practicality of it, and it's just not there. The set had potential, but with all those things being said, it easily turns into crafting material. So anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say. If you want to see the best builds for PvP and PvE, I should be making a video on those pretty soon, so stay tuned to the channel. But anyways, that's all I had for you guys today. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. Later, guys.